Okay, well, good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to our presentation tonight. I'm Brenda with Joyful Living Services, and I really appreciate that you're all here tonight. And we're going to learn from June tonight. She's going to be talking about balancing emotions. So let me tell you a little bit about June. She is one of our new certified comprehensive iridologists. So congratulations, June. That's awesome. She's the owner of the Health Connection. She's has been part of the wellness community for over 30 years. She's worked for and with various doctors and now owns her own practice. And she's owned it for 10 years. She is a board certified as licensed spiritual healer, certified aromatherapist, certified flower essence therapist, a natural therapy health coach, and she's an herbal specialist. And she's very passionate about bringing wholeness, body, soul, and spirit. So welcome, June, and thank you for being willing to share your knowledge with us tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you.
So we're going to go to share screen, Brenda?
Yep, you are now the host.
Okay. Is that good?
That looks great.
Okay, good. Let's see if I can. Okay, as Brenda said before, I just want to say thank you to all of you for joining this. I'm going to be sharing with you a passion of mine to help people reach fullness and wholeness when there's a lot of brokenness going on, and showing you some things that you can duplicate yourselves to help you move into bringing in self-healing into your own body. I'm going to talk to you, I would like to share with you a little bit about the difference between essential oils and flower essences because they're different. An essential oil is the most common extraction. It's an essential oil. It's either distilled or cold expressed. It has therapeutic benefits, skincare, muscle pain, digestion, respiratory, nervous system disorders, anti-inflammatory, calming, and antibacterial and antiviral. So you'll find that a lot of them will sometimes list that, or as you're studying oils, you'll find that some of them have specific assignments. I like to think that every oil has an assignment and it has a purpose. And when you're using those oils properly, you will see that you will receive great benefit from them. I also will be showing you and sharing with you to respect the oil. The oil is very powerful. I call them kind of like a Guns N' Roses kind of thing that we're going to be doing here tonight with the flower essences and the essential oils. So the flower essence is a plant material collected from the plant, placed in a bowl of water and allowed to infuse. So what I've been taught with flower essences, if the flower is looking down or it's a moon flower, then it's really more used for people that are or experiencing maybe being more downcast. If you have a flower that's looking up, then you would want to use that because it's looking at the sun. And I've actually taken flowers off cactuses. We have Hoya cactuses, and I forgot to say I'm in New Mexico. So for the past couple years, they've really bloomed beautifully. So for those of you that think we don't need to go camping, we still go camping and even go higher, probably go live where Lolly's at. I live in an elevation that's close to 6,000 feet, and we're considered the high desert. But if we were to go camping, we'll go somewhere like we have to go somewhere where it's 8 or 9 or 10,000 feet to be able to experience the forest. And if you'll notice, for those of you who had the benefit of doing that, is when you go out, you'll see early in the morning, there's a dew that's on top of the flowers or the plants. And that's the essence of the flower. That is its purpose. That's its assignment. That's what has been done for you. So it has therapeutic benefits as well. It's for emotional healing, such as fear, loneliness, uncertainty, despair, insufficiency, oversensitivity, overcare, and anxiety. And I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of several different experiences. So the Health Connection is something that I've owned for a little over 10 years. It cannot be held liable for any misuse or malpractice of any techniques taught within this webinar, nor for any injury, suffering, or distress caused by students undertaking the techniques discussed. All students must accept that they are wholly responsible for their actions relating to the practice of iridology and pupil analysis, which I'll mention in a little bit. Aromatherapy, essential oil blends, and flower remedies or recipes, and must adhere to relevant laws in their country, state of residence. The students are responsible for ensuring that they have appropriate insurance for practices in their country and state of residence. The Health Connection by June Baker cannot be held responsible for any advice given by students to members of the public. This includes essential blends and homeopathic flower remedies. Each blend is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. These blends have not been evaluated by the FDA. Consult your physician or healthcare provider before using this or any herbal products. Students must adhere to their local laws regarding the requirements for registration and or qualifications as an iridologist and or aromatherapist before suggesting supplements or offering nutritional advice. Aromatherapy uses vibration. So every organ of your body has a frequency and a vibration. And I'll show you a little chart that I found, a couple of charts that I found that'll show you megahertz. So we'll look at that in a little bit. So energy transfers through essential oils. So when you inhale an essential oil, it takes 3 seconds for it to reach the what's called olfactory, and it'll begin to respond to your body. When you apply it topically, it takes about 3 seconds for it to do what it has been assigned to do. Oils applied topically to nourish the mind, emotions, and spirit, as well as physical body. The beauty of aromatherapy is the signature of the plant, the blueprint or their identity. So the oils I use have what I call a signature, or they have like a fingerprint. Like you only have, your fingerprint is different than everyone else's. So let's say that this is lavender, for instance. So when I work with oils, I want to make sure that when they took that plant, that lavender plant, the sun has to be in a particular part of the sky before that plant can be used. It also has to have no pesticides, no herbicides, no contaminants whatsoever. It can't be spoiled. There can't be rain when that's happened. It has to be at a particular time. So the signature of that plant, or the blueprint of that plant, looks like this. When it goes through distillation, or whether it's going to go through cold pressing, or whatever it's going to happen with it to get to where it gets to you, it should look like this again. It should match up perfectly. If it doesn't, then you really need to check your source. So be sure you check your source. And you can also read labels. And when you read labels, it may say 10%, it may say 15%. What I use, it's 100%. All right. The beauty of aromatherapy is the signature of the plant, or the blueprint of their identity. Balance and healing oneself physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So there's something called olfactory, and I found this out when I started working with a particular doctor. I would do all of his health assessments, but I was always fascinated with oils. I ended up with a breast lump, and I immediately panicked because my mother passed away at the age of 51 from cancer. And I thought, well, if she does, and I look like her, and I have the same body structure, and which we're finding out a lot with the iridology, if we had done that, and I'd known that back then I could have maybe eliminated some worry and concern, or been able to do something to help. But what I did is I actually changed my diet, and I started using essential oils. No one taught me how to use them. So I burned my skin. I did everything wrong. I bought them, I went to what I considered a reputable place, like a health food store that's well known. And I picked up the oils there, but no one told me respect the oils. And I'll say this to you over and over again. You should start with only 1 drop. Always remember 1 drop, not 10 drops, 30 drops. It's always easier to add more drops than it is to take away. You can't do it. You'll be diluting and diluting and diluting. So always start with 1 drop. And then if you're going to add to that oil, it's 1 drop. Okay. So I had a young lady come in and I had geranium, which I had like my favorite oils, and I pulled them out, and I kind of look at oils and I think, well, who's going to be my friend this week? And sometimes my friend is there for a month or 2 months or 3 months or sometimes the whole year. And so I happen to like that geranium a lot. And I didn't know when I opened the bottle and I had her waft it that she was going to begin to weep. And I didn't know what was happening. All I knew was that it had brought up an emotion. And so through her sobs and everything, she said to me, "This reminds me of my grandmother." And I like that same oil for the very same reason, because it reminded me of my grandmother. So you'll see that emotions, impulses, things that you've done, places you've been, experiences you have had can be brought up with essential oils. You'll smell them, and then all of a sudden you feel an emotion, and it could be happy, it could be sad. It just reminds you of something. And it's no wonder odors, smells, aromas create a biological and emotional response. So I'm going to be working with 7 different, or sharing with you 7 different flower remedies. There is such a thing as Bach flower remedy. So we know that, he's the one that really started looking at all of this and beginning to use it. And I've always been fascinated with that as well. So I'm going to work with 7. One of us called Be Courageous for vented, because we're going to have vented and then you have suppressed. So vented fear could be somebody that always kind of trembles on the inside, or they're always afraid to maybe stand in front of a group and speak. There's also be response able, not responsible, but be response able. So how do you respond to something? And so this particular blend helps with that. Then there's the distress remedy, which is like the rescue that Bach flower remedy has, except this particular one has 1 more ingredient. Find strength would be for suppressed anger. So it's people that implode. And then vented anger is people that explode. Actually, I hate to say this, but keep cool is one of my favorites. And I have to use that a lot because I think I hold a lot in and I push a lot down. Open heart helps with suppressed grief. So you may have had a loss, you may have lost your job. With everything that's going on right now with the COVID, people have lost their jobs, they've lost their homes, they've lost loved ones. There's a lot going on. And so we have what's called, some people have suppressed grief where it's stuck. And this particular flower essence helps you to release it. But it's not one of those things that just go, and it's not aggressive, it's very gentle. And then release it is for vented grief. So you'll have somebody, I've worked with people that have been crying for years over a parent that passed away, or they've never been able to get into the place where they can begin to receive healing. Okay, so there's a healing transformation that begins with flower essence, and it's as those part of us that have been hidden. So we have cells, and inside our cells we can hold emotions, and they have been hidden or pushed away. And what flower remedies do is they help remove layers. It helps remove layers, and it doesn't cause something to happen or force us to change. So it doesn't ever happen. And what I love about it too is there's no side effects. Most recently, I have one of my really close friends, and her father was in the hospital, and he was scared because they told him, there's nothing else we can do. You're going to pass away. And so she called me. She said, "What do I do?" And so we blended some oils and some flower essences, and he became more peaceful. And then when he did transition and pass, it was not as traumatic as maybe it would have been. Okay, one of the greatest benefits of flower essences, and you can use this many, many ways. It may work to balance your personal, vibrational, or unique energy. So if you're going to use a flower essence or an oil and you're thinking it's going to change your personality, it will maybe enhance it where it needs to be enhanced, and it may suppress what needs to be suppressed. So there's a unique energy pattern that stimulate changes rather than just cover up symptoms like allopathy. They can be used by adults, children, babies, pregnant women, the very ill, pets, and plants. It can be used on everything. It can also be used in your bath. You can put them in your laundry, and the frequencies and the energy of the flower will remain inside. So if you want to put it on a pillow, or if you want to use it in your clothing, if you want to put it in juice for maybe a child, you can also dilute it down in water if you like. I make it into sprays many times. Flower essences are said not to interfere with other healing methods. So they can be taken, they are homeopathic, so they can be taken in conjunction with medication and they won't interfere. Some of the classes I've taken have said that they should wait a couple of hours before or after using them. And so that's a good something to remember. Flower essences, healing is self-adjusting to individual needs. So you don't, if somebody drinks a whole bottle of it, nothing's going to happen because your body will just eliminate what it doesn't need. So you'll be fine. The particular ones that I work with don't have any alcohol in as a preservative, actually has glycerin. They may be taken in a wide variety of ways at any time and begin easy to uncooperative children. So when I've had people come in, like a mother may come in with her children to see me for an appointment, and her child may be just all over the place. So I always ask permission if it's okay to make either, I usually have a little spray, but I will make it in front of them so they see exactly what's going in there. And we can use a little bit of spray on the back of their heads. And I've used it on autistic children. I've used it on ADHD children and even ADHD adults, to help them to feel more secure about what's going on in their life, or, how they can progress and how they're going to be able to start to move forward. The most frequent question is working with flower essences, whether combined with aromatherapy or used separately, is how do you know if it is the right essence? First of all, there's no wrong essence. I had one lady use all 7 bottles at one time because her mother had gotten such great results. She thought if I use them all, it'll be fine. And she called me and she said, June, she said, I'm crying out of one eye and laughing on the other side of my face. So I guess she was kind of doing everything at once. She goes, I feel fantastic. And I had a young man come in, he was probably in his 30s, and he had a blood clot in his leg. And he was more coming to me, not for the blood clot, but he was coming to me for the emotions that he was feeling, that all of a sudden his life was going to change. And he wasn't able to do any kind of lifting anymore. And he was just really upset. So when I said to him, would you like to try something while you're waiting for me to put some formulas together for you? And he said, yes. And I gave him distress remedy and be responsible. I put those two together for him in a little cup with a little bit of water. And I said, drink this. And he drank it. Anyway, when I came back, which was like in a minute, I came back and he said to me, I feel like I just drank a beer. So I guess that was a good thing for him. So, people have different responses. The wrong essence simply means that no results will occur. If it's a match that doesn't bring desired results, the body will cancel it out. So your body's really smart, very, very smart. So using essences straight from the bottle or as suggestion, add a drop to a glass of water, like I just said, add it to your bath, massage into an acupressure point, rub on sensitive body parts, your wrist, your feet, the back of your knees. So we've heard of, raindrop therapy. I've used this when I work with people and I do energy work. I can use this actually to help move energy or to help them to release an emotion, or if they're having some pain. One of the flower essences does have arnica in it. And so I can use that arnica and then it just helps, and you could just use drops. You can mist the air, even though it doesn't have a fragrance at all. You can add to diffuser with your favorite essential oil. You can add to your food or drink, you can add to your laundry. and it's safe to give to your children and pets. And I'll share with you a little bit about that. Flower essences have been found to assist in healing what has been lodged in the body and psyche since childhood, all the way to the present. So that's really cool too, because I like looking at iridology as it is genetically from the past, where you are now and where you're going to go, or where you should go if there's some correction or if there's some support that needs to be helpful. It's past, present, future. That's how I look at iridology. Flower essences are liquid, energetic, and vibrational remedies that have been derived from living flowers, trees, plants. Flower essences can support us in changing our thought processes, habits, and patterns. So we like this one, right? So what would you do if you have to go, you know, sometimes I used to always say, I'd rather eat a can of worms than step on the scale, right? It was either that or no pap smear either, right? It was give me the worms. So distress remedy helps you to be able to not be as upset or concerned. Be responsible is about making a good choice. The open heart is really feeding the heart, the mind, or the stomach. That's when you have to decide what's hungry. Is my head hungry? Is my heart hungry? Or is my stomach hungry? And then keep cool is really awesome. Like I said, it's awesome for me. I love keep cool, and it helps with liver and fat burning. And then some of the oils that you might want to mix with that would be like grapefruit, cinnamon, bergamot, peppermint, and ginger. And those all work together to create a wonderful formula to help with something like weight management. When I go to the dentist, which I usually don't have any problems, but I did this last year, and I just couldn't understand. I was having an allergic reaction to the dentist gave me an injection, and I didn't know I was allergic to whatever they were giving me. And so I was shaking really, really bad. And I thought, am I afraid? What's wrong? I've never had fear like this. So the second time I went back to him, I definitely had fear, but I used the remedies. And I was able to get through it, and then found out that I was allergic to one of the cane things. So I use this very successfully with pets and flower essence. I'm going to just share with you a couple of just cute little stories that we have. Last year I went to, or the year before, I went to Costa Rica with my sister and her husband and a friend. And my sister was concerned about leaving her dog. She had 2 dogs. One had gone blind and the other one had gone deaf at the same time. And so they were fighting with each other, just snipping at each other. And the little one, of course, wanted to make the other one get off her big bed, and she wanted to sleep in her bed. And they were just fighting. And my sister said, I don't know if I can leave these pets behind. And I said, don't worry, I've got something. So when I went to where she lives in Albuquerque, which is where we fly out of, I made a blend. I made a blend for her, and we put together the Keep Cool and the Distress Remedy in water. And I said, you can either spray the top of their heads, and then I made one into a dropper formula. So it's you don't use a lot. You don't need a lot. So I just use like 4 drops of each. And then I put them in probably like a 2-ounce bottled water. And then I said, you can spray this into the water they drink. And they calmed right down, and they were friends, and they never had a problem the whole time that we were gone. And they still don't to this day. So then I had a friend that, a client who was on chemotherapy, and she had 2 cats that decided they were going to fight under her bed every night. So they were yanking their hair out, and they were, just clawing at each other and screeching. And she said, I can't sleep. I'm not sleeping at all. I don't know what to do. And I kept watching her posts on Facebook. And she even bought the weighted vests for her cats, and she took them to the vet. She did all kinds of things, and nothing was happening. So I said, if I have some suggestions, would you like to try something? She said, yes. So we took that over to them, and those cats to this day, I'll tell you, they're best friends. So it does work on pets. And when I shared that story with somebody else, she said, will it work on my 2 squabbling children? So I just spray their heads with it. I hope it helps. Okay, trauma. The more sensitive a person is, the more it seems they begin to feel the vibrational frequency. Trauma healing may take time, so don't give up. I work with women that have been sexually abused and their children have been sexually abused. And I've had some come in that are just so traumatized from what has happened with their children or what has happened with them, and or they may be in an environment where it's going on. So I use essential oils. I do also use herbal therapy as well. So I don't want to just say I don't do that too, because I do. But when I'm working with just the oils and the flowers, I'm able to combine things that really help make a difference. I've had where women cannot trust themselves in the same room at night with their children. And this has really just been just amazing to see how they transform and how they can get their life back, and how they can just move forward. The person that, if you ever get a chance to get online and look at my website, that particular person that made that website was somebody that could not function at all because of what had happened with her. But as we continue to work with her and help her and go through different sessions with her, she was able to move forward. And she has a full-time job. She has her children. She was able to move out of her parents' home, and she's fully functioning. And now she creates websites. So, that's great. Working in harmony with your body, it is a graceful approach to uncovering deep-seated emotions. So it's very gentle, very, very gentle. Oftentimes one may have healing dreams while using the flower essence as they work with the deeper part of oneself. So if that happens, that's pretty normal. What I like about the techniques that I use is it doesn't make you relive a trauma. You don't have to go back in there and let's go through here and, you're doing all this guided visualization. I don't do that at all. I just allow them to just move where they're at. I honor them in the space that they're in, and in the trauma that they're in, I try to help them to move forward. And I do that with like 12 different sessions. So I had a lady come in to see me, and she was an RN, and she had, her sister was killed brutally, and I'm not going to go into how that was. So now she has to take care of her sister's infant child and 2 school-age children. So her whole life has changed. The nurse said she wanted to release her unforgiveness and had not been able to for 2 years. She wanted to forgive and she wanted to move forward. If somebody isn't ready to forgive, I'm not moving them into forgiveness. I don't move anybody into where they don't want to go. It's their own, they need to move at their own pace. She said, but she wanted to do that. So I offered flower remedies. She went in there for, I have had several people that were in my office that did reflexology, massage therapy, and some various other modalities. And so she had come for that. And she was also doing a detox at the time, and she started sharing with me. And so I said, would you like to try these? While she sat there with her feet being detoxed, the tears began to come down her face. And she said, I have not cried in over 2 years, or about a year, I think. And the other thing that was going on with her, it had blocked up her gut. So she was also having some issues with her gut. Oh, where was iridology when I needed it, Brenda? Okay, so one of the best oils that I have found that I love, 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 love is Helichrysum. If you study where it comes from and where people go looking for it, it is just a remarkable oil, and it really helps with the forgiveness process. It's sweet, it's fruity, it smells like honey or nectar overtones. It's uplifting. It may assist in emotional blocks that are rooted in the subconscious mind. And what's good, so the essential oil range is between 52 and 320 megahertz. So we're kind of like a computer, with the spiritual oils being over 90 megahertz. Rose has the highest, but it has to be the right kind of rose. It can't just be the rose that you saw in the grocery store and you picked it up and you said, oh, I think that smells like rose. I mean, you might just really be getting yourself sick picking something up that's really toxic. Anything over the frequency of the human brain is considered extremely high. Why is vibrational frequency important? Because of every organ of your body has a frequency. I test people bioenergetically, and when I test them, what happens is it can show something where the frequency is too low or the frequency is overfiring, and then I'm able to help them with maybe recommending an oil or working with some kind of herbal therapy or changing even maybe the food they're eating. So even organic food has a higher vibrational frequency than processed food. Processed food has 0 megahertz. No, not surprising, right? And studies have shown that just eating lower frequency foods may bring your overall frequency down. So we want our frequencies to be, right, so everything's kind of humming. Your liver is considered the organ of harmony. So when your liver is functioning the way it should, it's cleansed, it's being supported, it's being nurtured, it's being given what it needs. And Helichrysum is really good for the liver as well. Essential oils raise the vibrational levels as soon as you smell them. Inhale 30 seconds, application 1 to 2. So, you have that going on. So, that if that's its assignment, then it should hopefully, achieve what you're looking for. When the levels of essential oil frequency is complete, its assignments may have help one release more easily by raising spiritual awareness. I make a frequency essential oil, and you can talk to me about that. And I have a list of some of the things that I have done that have been really beneficial to my clients. And if you're interested in them, you can order them. Using it daily may help raise your vibration and allow the soul to forgive, forget, and release on so many levels. And it may just be one layer. It may not be that all of a sudden I'm over it. I've worked with people for years to help them get to where they're looking at, trying to achieve. So I work with children also. I remember this particular young man, his mom used to be the person that would cut my hair. And she called me and this little boy had 3 traumas, and I'm going to go through them real quick. He had a baby daddy that was like maybe 20 years older than the mother, and he was pretty much an absent father. Then she married, and married a man that was, when I think he was 38 or 40 years old. He ended up with a heart attack. And so the little boy had gotten to become really close with him. And then he died. Right before he died, the mother took this little boy to go visit him at the hospital. And the stepfather said, "Come here," asked the little boy to come and sit by him as he was trying to speak with him. And the little boy said, "You're not my daddy. I don't love you." And he pushed him away. Anyway, he died. So an uncle steps in, and the uncle says, I'll step in and be like his dad. I'll take him to his football games. I'll take him to movies. I'll be there for him. Well, he committed suicide and he died. So this little boy got to the point, 8 years old. He would not cry. He would not hug. He would not say he loved his mother, and he was always angry. So he was always acting out. So I heard what she had to say, and I created 2 blends for her. One was one that he could ingest, and the other one that he could diffuse. And she called me. I think I gave it to her in the evening. She called me a few hours later, and she lives in another city. And she said, "June, you're not going to believe what happened." And I said, "Tell me." And she said, "He's crying and he says, 'Mama, I love you.'" So for some reason, it worked very quickly on him, and he was ready to let go. And he's been doing well. He probably needs more, but he's doing well. And I call this in my Guns N' Roses one. So Flower Remedies gently supports the soul to release one layer at a time, and nothing more than that. Okay, this is what is in a blend that I have, and it's called Refuge. It has Mountain Pride, and it's a warriorship. Aspen for unconscious fears. And then you can just read all of, the different ingredients that are in here. And this is something that I used on a little boy that I'm going to call him Superman. And you'll see that it has all amimulus and carito and red clover and blackberry. Anyway, this particular little boy, his mother had come to see me, and I could hear him weeping in another room. And so when the session was over, she asked if it would be okay if he came to see me. He wanted to talk to me. So I said, okay. And what he was doing is he was experiencing fear. And the reason he was fearful, or what he would do to respond to the fear, is he would get up in the middle of the night and crawl into bed with his mom and dad. He was afraid that his dad was going to die, because his dad would go to the neighbor's house and they were always having some kind of wild parties. And he thought that somehow his dad was going to be shot and killed and he wasn't going to come home. So he would crawl into bed to make sure that his mom and dad were both in the bed. So what I did is I worked with him and I helped with this blend here with the refuge, put it together, and then we used essential oils. And then I also made him a little, he wanted to wear a necklace like the one his mom wore, because I carry aromatherapy necklaces, and he liked one that he thought looked manly. And I told him he could stick it under his shirt. And we talked about how it was going to support him and that he was going to be like Superman. And she said that he slept through the night and he continued to sleep through the night, and he's been done well ever since. So, so we've also worked with, trust and loving, again, is sometimes difficult when you lose somebody, or if there's a death or there's a divorce, it can really affect you. And I think that we're going through a lot of this with this virus that we're experiencing right now. There can be even anger. My uncle passed away I guess about 3 weeks ago. And I'm sure that everybody has gone through, I don't know anybody that can tell me that 2020 was wonderful. And if they do, I congratulate you. But it was not for me. It was very difficult I would say from January 15th all the way to the end of the year. It was, other than passing my IIPA exam, that was really nice. It was close to, getting married, having babies, that kind of the happy moments. And I think I screamed in the store when I was told that I passed the exam and I wasn't escorted out, because Brenda called me when I was in the store and said, guess what? So that was a very, very happy moment. Oh, and then my son got married, I should say. That was happy too. He got married in October. So there's a little 8-year-old boy, that like I just talked a while ago, and these are the oils that we use. We used what I just said a while ago with flower remedies, and I think I put this in reverse. Forgiveness. Oh, I'm going the wrong direction. That's what's wrong. Okay. All right. So, and I don't always have tragic situations, although sometimes I do. So I had a lady that, do you remember the hurricane that hit the East Coast? I'm trying to think what it was called. Anyway, she was engaged to be married. She lives in New Mexico. Her fiance lived in the East Coast, and he went home to see if his house was still standing. And when he was there, he died. So she went through this situation where she couldn't sleep. So I'm giving you like worst case scenarios. Some people just don't sleep, like they won't sleep for a little while, but then anyway, so I blended something for her. And what we did is we used flower remedies, and then we used specific oils. And she had I had her to report back to me what was going on. And she said the first night she used it, she had 3 hours of uninterrupted sleep. And she was sleeping in a chair. She wouldn't even sleep in her bed. The second night, she said 3 hours again. Third night, 4 hours. And what I was doing was I was working with her to help her break the cycle of what was happening. She reported 2 more hours of sleep. The morning she sent me a message, 6 hours of sleep without interruption. She is now remarried, or I shouldn't say remarried. She just got married a year ago, and she's very happy, and she sleeps. So, and she remembers what's in the formulas. Okay. Okay, one other little story. I had an 80-year-old woman come and see me. So I do work with all the way from children. We've even used the flower remedies and even some essential oils, not on the child, but maybe on the corners of their beds, or things that, they're just in case they decide they're going to suck on it. I don't do anything that is going to be harmful to them, or that wouldn't be safe. So one of my clients came in to see me when I was still working with the doctor, and she had been in an automobile accident. The way she remembered the accident, I believe it's not possible. But what I do is I try to honor you where you're at. You could tell me some, story that may have happened to you, and I'll say, that doesn't seem like that could happen. But that was her pain and that was her trauma, and I wanted to help her with it. So what we did with her as well is, she said that she went to go open the gate and that the car was running and the car ran over her, that she forgot to put it in gear. So she was afraid to drive, and she was unharmed. She didn't have any scratches, bruises, nothing. And she came in and she said, June, please help me. And so I used the distress flower remedies, and then I used some essential oils. One of the essential oils that's really good for the adrenals would be chamomile. Sometimes we take sometimes we take something for the adrenals, and it may have an ingredient in it like licorice, and then it'll raise the blood pressure. And so you kind of have to see and know what you're doing. So anyway, I tried these formulas and these recipes on her, and asked her to sit with me for about 20 minutes, not to leave. And she sat there. Anyway, she felt well enough to get in her car and drive home, and she drove until the day she passed away, which she passed at the age of 90. And so, it's just, they're just wonderful. You can roll them on, you can spray them on. They're just wonderful. Okay. These are some of the stages of healing using essential oils and flower essences. It's clearing, it's releasing, it's relaxing. Sometimes people will yawn. I've noticed that, like we'll use something on them and they will yawn. They just yawn, which I know that's a form of release. It clears and you become more focused. I had another lady come see me from out of the city. Also, I have people come from all over, but she came from maybe about 100 miles away, and she said she couldn't think anymore. She wasn't clear in her head, so changed her diet, started her on some different formulas, different oils, different flower remedies, and she was able to feel better, and said that her daughter said that her thinking is better. So hopefully it's still working. She reordered the other day, so I guess it is. If you have I'm working with somebody right now that called me that had high blood pressure. And so I said, well, let's work on the emotions to see if we can get that down. So we worked on getting the emotions down, and then we worked on eating certain foods, and we did do the iridology with her, Brenda. And so to see if there was anything else going on that we could support. And so she's doing everything that's recommended. And this morning she reported a 128, something like that, over 90. So compared to what it was, like way up in the 200s, it was terribly high. So it calmed. We helped to help the heart rate calm down, helped to relax the muscles, the breathing, sleep and digestion improved. It also helps, you'll see that it helps to release hidden emotional patterns in the body. So you might have somebody that maybe overreacts. Sometimes people release with tears. I had one gal that her husband called and thanked me because he said she had not laughed in, I don't know, he said 10 years, wouldn't laugh. So when she was in my office, two had come from over 100 miles away, and we were sitting there, and I'm trying to, her friend that brought her said, why don't you let her try the oil and this other thing? So I did. She laughed so hard that her face hurt. And she just could not stop laughing. I've seen one other person respond that way. And anyway, her husband called to say, thank you. Thank you. I have my wife back, he said. It's empowering. It's brings courage and change and behavior, and it's graceful, and you feel, there's a lot of gratitude in feeling better. Okay, this is a little chart that I found, and it says the average body organ frequency. So we're knowing we have thyroid and parathyroid. It should be 62 and 68 megahertz. And then, and these charts in this PowerPoint, I guess everybody can have it, right, Brenda? Because it's going to be on the presentation. So you're going to look at the colon, heart rate, stomach, spleen, pancreas. Everything has a frequency. So we want to make sure that our frequencies are in balance and that we're feeling at our optimal best. Okay, so I wanted to include this to show you that it does really coincide with iridology. And iridology is fascinating to me. My first class was 4 hours long. And I knew back then that I wanted more, but I couldn't find more. And so my little testimony with Brenda is my husband found her for me because I kept talking about wanting to take one of her classes or wanting to take a class. And he kept saying, June, let's see it on Facebook. You need to call this woman. And I think I had a conversation with her, and I think I gave her the 3rd degree on the phone. I don't remember. But anyway, I asked a lot of questions. And she reassured me that I was going to be fine and that I was going to learn a lot. I didn't know that it was going to turn my whole life around. So here we go. So we have these 4 different eye types, which you'll see, and I'm not going to go into them. I'm just going to show you that that iridology also works with emotions. And you can see that the different eyes, the way they look, freckled, or, those beautiful petals in the eye. I love something I heard on one of the webinars that I was on, and she said the lacunas, or those little petals that you see in your eye, are gifts from your family. And when I heard her say that, she said they are there for us to solve what our parents were not able to solve. I'm literally cried when I heard that. My brother passed away last year, and I thought he had all of this, and he was given an assignment that he was not able to fulfill. But he has a daughter that has the flower. She has all those petals in her eye. So now we have an opportunity to help. We have an opportunity to work with that particular daughter to help her. And I have a picture of all the girls. He has 3 daughters. And so I wanted to include this because if there's anyone that's looking at maybe even something I've said tonight that would be beneficial or helpful for you, by looking at your eye, you can send me a picture of your eye. I have created blends, a blend for each one of these. Whether you have the flower, the shaker, the stream, whichever one it is that you have, it's awesome. See that? The jewel, they're typically strong, enduring and analytical. They are not as transient, emotional, or quick to change as flowers. And you can be a combination of more than one. You can have more than one. So iridology is an intricate part of your emotional well-being. I see it so clearly. And had I had this tool with all these women that I've worked with for those several years, I may have been able to move more quickly with them and been able to help them even more than I did. I hope I did. And I think that they will say, they wrote nice letters saying that it was helpful. So we have the flower, which is types attract other people with a sense of silence, breathless, allowing flower wordless, accept the world around them. Streams are nurturers, community builders, and nest makers. They are the crib of creation, sustaining the sense of belonging. They touch and connect, inviting everyone to join in the experience of connectedness. They are the essence of embodiment. And then shakers don't stay in one place for long. I have a lot of friends that are shakers. Yet their influence is felt for a long time after they have passed, but the shaker also represents the resurrection, the new life that springs forth from the ashes of the old forest, the renewal that comes after any destructive event. So, and when I look at this, if I read this, if I were just to read this, I'd probably say I have all of these, but I don't. So let's go back and let's look at that again. So, I mean, I was like, wow. So look at those freckles. I have the freckles, I have this. I might have a little bit of everything. Okay, so here's something else is showing you the essential oils that help move your frequencies. Did you note that high quality essential oils can help you vibrate at a higher frequency? So it doesn't mean you're just going to walk around. I don't know if you've seen that commercial where he says, oh, I'm on, and he's wearing a cell phone and he's vibrating. You won't vibrate that way. So the healthy human body is 62 to 78 megahertz. The unhealthy human body is 59 megahertz. The dying human body is 20 to 25 megahertz. Isn't that interesting? The essential oils, 52 megahertz to 320 megahertz. So using some of these are some of the higher frequency oils. You'll see them listed here. All right, so I've created some cards that, because I know I gave you a lot in a short period of time. So I created these cards. Did you find them, Brenda? Yeah, okay. So these cards, on one side of the card, it's going to show you what we talked about a little bit, what we talked about here, where it tells you this is the flower remedy. This is its name, this, and this is what it does. On the back side of the card, it's going to say you can blend it with this and this and this and this oil. So it kind of gives you like a little bit of recipes. And the sets are available for purchase. And if you like what I shared with you tonight and you would like to have like the 10 oils that I talked about and the flower essences, those are the prices. There's where you can order them, or you can contact me and I can help you with that. This one, the 10 oils gives you 5 singles and 5 blends. And it does include frankincense, which is frankincense is one of the most expensive oils ever. And it's actually in that authentic essential oil kit, which I think is amazing. And then the 7 bottles have every single one of the flowers that we talked about tonight. It's in that set. So I'm a New Mexico redhead, and this is my blending bar. So although my hair looks blonde tonight, I think it's the light. So I have like a sweet sleep, quiet the mind chatter. So with the mind chatter, what I've done is I've put together some oils that we can rub into the scalp, and it stops the mind chatter, and then your hair looks great in the morning. So that one's good too. And then the pain be gone. It's been one of the ones that if you watch or follow me on Facebook, there's a couple of women that there was one lady that called me. She says she was having TMJ problems. So she said, June, can you help me? And of course, she has both of her breasts removed. She's a breast cancer survivor. So I wanted to be very, very cautious with what blending I was putting together. So I made a blend for her, and she said the pain was just gone. So now her husband took the bottle and he's rolling it on his knee. Her sister her daughter used it on a migraine. And so it has just skyrocketed with people ordering the pain be gone. The trauma release is really good as well. And it's one of the ones that we talked about. The forgiveness blend is big. And then the brain one, I just had a court reporter call me a while ago, and she said, June, will you make me the brain blend? Because she has to have so much information all the time. And so I make a brain blend. The healing of the broken heart, that's big too. Secure at last, where you're actually feeling safe, you're okay with where you are, who you are, what you're doing. A holy oil blend is interesting because I created this blend for a place called the Santuario. It is a place that people make a pilgrimage to every year. They weren't able to last year because of COVID. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it now. And they walk there for Easter. And so one of the gals there and I started working with her and teaching her how to work with the oil blends. And so we made a holy oil blend. And people buy this from all over the world. And they're using it, and they're writing back about the miraculous that's taking place. It's a very spiritual place that, like I said, people make pilgrimages there. You'll see, it's one of those places where you see things just hanging on the wall, all the crutches, where people took the crutches off, or they're not using them anymore, or people make a pilgrimage because they want to be healed. Different reasons people do this every year, and it's a big deal in our state. And they'll come from hundreds of miles and they'll walk all week long, but they usually go there on a Good Friday. So anyway, that holy oil blend, I never really shared it before, other than we had it specific for the santuario, but this lady said to me, June, you should carry it, you made it. So there it is. And then a fear release blend, which we talked about a while ago too. And I usually make them into 15 ml, or I'm sorry, 10 ml roll-ons, or we can do them into a spray or whatever. And then all the children's blends are $20 and less. Okay, I'm today wanted to share each blend has your personality in mind. So what I would need to do to work with this is you'd need to send me a picture of your eyes, and then of course filling out all the proper paperwork that we've been taught to use. And there is a blend for each of you, or each one of these, like where you're a jewel, a stream, a flower, or a shaker. So that's kind of fun. I'm excited about that. So I want to thank all of you for allowing me to share with you today. Emotions are felt by each of us at different levels. It is my intention to provide a simple system of healing that most anyone can use. The Health Connection is located, I said, in New Mexico. You can get onto my website. It's just called healthconnection.org. Did I put that in there? Anyway, it's on the first page, but I need to add it into this one. And then ordering is simple. All you do just pick what you want. Let me know what you want. And you can either private message me, or you can write to me on my email, or you can get onto my website. And my website is healthconnection.org. And it is spelled just like that, HEALTHCONNEXION.org. And I'm done, Brenda. Can't hear you. You're muted. You're muted, Brenda. Brenda. Can't hear you. Can you hear me, Brenda? Okay, you're muted. You're muted. Make you the host. Let's see how it's more. You. Make me the host. Yeah. Do I go to new? Where do I go? Let's see, Miss Brenda. I don't know where to go. More. Participants. Okay, got it. Brenda. There. Yes. How do I close this? Stop share.
Mute. Okay, Becky, you're the host. Somehow Becky became the host. Okay, so can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Anybody hear me? June, can you hear me? Unmute, yes? Okay, Becky, where's Becky?
I can hear you, Brenda. We can, but
Okay.
everyone is muted.
All right, so Becky somehow is the host. All right, so oh my goodness, I don't know how this happened. All right, so Becky, what I need you to do, if you're the host, you should be able to see down on the bottom or on the side of your screen, it'll say participants. All right, So if you click on that, you'll see all of our names. And then you'll see my name, Brenda Generali. And what you need to do is you need to go click on my name and you'll see a little blue box that says more. And then it'll say make, and then you can click on that and it'll say you can make me the host again, because you need to make me the host. You are the host now. Okay, yay. All right. Let me, okay, now everybody can unmute, and I know there were some questions. So, June, you want to unmute yourself?
I'm unmuted.
Oh boy, talk about some technical stuff there, huh?
Wasn't that awesome?
Okay, glad that we don't get stressed out about that. Okay, so there were a
No.
couple of questions in the chat.
Okay.
Let me see here if I can get the questions here. Does anybody have a question you want to ask? June here.
I have several. This is Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Hi.
Can you increase your volume a little bit? It's
let me
hard to,
try-
let's see.
Does that work? Is that any
Yeah.
better?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a little
great.
better.
Okay. So, June, thank you so much for sharing all that wonderful information. You mentioned about clothes, that the flower essence will stay on the clothes for quite some time. And you mentioned something about in the laundry. Do you put it in the washer, the dryer afterwards?
You can put it into your wash. You can put it into your wash.
So the soap and all the other additives, it won't have an impact on that?
It shouldn't. I mean, I usually use something organic, but something
did-
without a fragrance.
Okay.
You know, try to be as natural as you can with it, but you know, not everybody can do that. So you can add it in. It will remain in the clothing.
Oh, okay. The reason I'm asking is because I do put Odoban. You can buy it like at Sam's, and it's a natural. It kills MRSA and everything, because my husband works with COVIDs all day long, patients,
Okay.
and so I was wondering, you know, for flower essence for him, because I put it in his water when he goes to work and in his coffee in the morning. But I thought, wow, I could put it in his clothes. And when he comes home, he's so stressed out. I do a room spray for him. I just kind of spray everywhere. And that seems to help him. So that's why I was asking about that. And you said you can also spray the air. And my question is, do you know how long it's like in the air for? Like I spray the whole place like right before he walks in. Or if I can, I'll spray myself and then hug him. Because he's all, you know, Mayo Clinic, you know, and all that stuff, you know. And so it's like, you know, where's the scientific research? So you know, he's like, what's his flower stuff?
It doesn't have a fragrance, so you can
Right.
diffuse it. Some of the diffusers, like I have a diffuser that lasts 10 hours. So you can put it into the diffuser, and then when it runs out, then, you know, so it's diffusing for 10 hours.
Right. Right. Okay.
Depends
I
on
was just
how long
wondering
the diffuser.
how long it was in the air for.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying up to 10 hours. As long as you have it diffusing, it's in the air.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, and by the way, Costco has a new humidifier that's got the diffuser built in.
There you go.
Yeah, so I thought that was really cool. Okay, and then the other question I have, if you don't mind, I'll ask some more. If you need to cut me off, let me know. The Keep Cool, you said it's good for a fat burner. What is the dynamics of that?
It's just, all it's doing is calming. The liver can get hot. Chinese believe the liver gets hot. It's considered wood. And so all it does is just cool you down.
So
It's not necessary.
that's going to keep you from like what, overeating, binge eating, you know,
all it's going to do is just keep you cool, keep you calm. It calms the liver down, because the liver, when the liver's hot, you can usually see that people respond to things like they'll just like fly off the handle, or they respond because they're angry. Instead of answering more in a more, you know, calm way, they just lash out.
Okay.
And so it just keeps you cool to the point where your liver is kind of just a little bit more It's more humming than it is screaming, and it's not as hot. So it does help calm it down.
Okay, and you also mentioned about grapefruit for appetite control, because I know I was
Mhm.
taught that grapefruit helps move fluid. And so I
Yeah.
was just, that was kind of a new one on me too. And I was wondering about the dynamics of that.
It's just been known to help people with appetite control.
Oh,
It has many benefits. It has a lot of benefits, like the
o-
ones you mentioned as well.
okay. And then you were talking about the frequency. Oh, you said the nurse, you said when you were working with her, you also had her doing a foot detox. And I was wondering on the foot detox, were you having her to do that while you were working with her for emotional detox or physical detox?
It
Or
was
both?
physical. It was
Oh,
physical.
oh, okay. I was just wondering, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
did you put flower essence in the foot detox too, or no?
No.
Oh, okay. I just that struck my curiosity. And
Yeah.
I know you're talking about the frequencies. Do you utilize, are you familiar with the PEMF mats?
No.
No, okay, because they
Oh,
work on,
yeah. Like a grounding mat.
yeah, because they work on the frequency too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. We use when I work with people who do the emotional, what I'm doing, body work or helping to move energy. We use grounding mats. Yeah, I have a grounding mat under their back. It's laying
oh,
on the grounding mat.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I wanted to mention, you had also mentioned about the chamomile for adrenal. And
Mhm.
I train with Lori Hargis, her
Yeah.
international school. And so I have hypersensitivity to chamomile, the weed, when it grows. And so I didn't realize that with chamomile, she had taught us that those that are ragweed sensitive, because it comes from the ragweed family, sometimes
Mhm.
don't do well with chamomile. And of course, I'm like you, I learn everything the hard way, right? Because
Yeah.
I woke up in the middle of the night and my tummy just seemed like it was not right. And I thought I'd be real smart and rub chamomile on my tummy, with a carrier oil. And I burned myself. I burned my tummy and I was just like, oh my goodness. And so I didn't,
So remember that we usually work with, so if you're a type O body, or your blood type is O,
no, I'm an A.
what I found for what are you? You're B?
A.
A. Okay. So I know with the type O, I'm type O, and I know that chamomile, well, not chamomile, like echinacea
Mhm.
is a ragweed for me. But so I know that I can only use it for like maybe 3 days, and then I have to stop using it because then then all of a sudden I have an allergic reaction. So it's better not to do that. If you're familiar with Lori Hargis, you might ask her what else she would recommend,
Oh,
for that.
yeah,
Peppermint oil, lavender, something else.
right, absolutely. And then I just wanted to tell you two quick things that others might appreciate too. I work for 3 different dental professors, and so I'm real big on taking the distress remedy with me to the dentist. So after they give me the injection, I
Yeah.
spray my jaw. If before, after, during dental work, I spray, and I notice that I don't have as much swelling with
Right.
it, or anywhere I have issues on my body. I just have always I never go to the dental office without it, and I notice it's
Yes.
kind of nice because it calms everybody else in the room down too. And
Right.
'cause sometimes the dentists are racing, it's like a conveyor belt, they're racing from patient to patient. And
Right.
Lori had just shared with us like this fascinating experience where she lived in California. There was a big bridge, and I guess there was a bad car wreck, and somebody come and knocked on her door. Some lady was in serious condition, and all she had was distress remedy. And she went over, and the lady was just full of glass, her face and everything. And all she had distress remedy, and she just put it on her hands and just rubbed her hands, air rubbed over. And she said it helped her tremendously because she said I couldn't touch her because she was full of glass. And
Mhm.
so, and I know Stephen Hornet taught us that too, that, sometimes
Right.
you can't touch like a burn or something. And that was kind of cool to know. And
Well,
so, yeah.
it has arnica in it for pain.
Hmm. Right.
The
And she
distress
said,
remedy does, yeah.
Yeah, she said the lady actually came to and was able to say her name and all that because she was like knocked out cold. And I appreciate you mentioning about the dreams, because I've been using a variety of flower essence, and I find that every time I lay down, it's just like this whole slew of thought of past whatever will surface, and I'm like, where did that come from? So I knew it came from the flower essence, but I'm like, why does it happen when I sleep? I don't want that to happen.
It's probably the only time you sit down, the only time
It
you're
is.
quiet.
Yeah, it is. And then one other question, if I wanted to refer someone to you, if I knew somebody that was dealing with, some trauma that they needed specialized help, what do you normally like? Do you have a charge, a protocol?
All you have to do is contact me and I'll go over that with you. I'll send you a list
Oh, okay,
of,
great.
Prices.
Okay. Well, thank you for answering my questions.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody else have questions, comments, anything for June? Thank you very much, June. That was excellent. I learned a lot. So I really appreciate that. And I enjoyed your, I enjoyed your story when you were in the store. When I called you and told you about that you passed your exam. So that was excellent. And the pictures that you shared, that those are rayed. So that was great. So anybody that wants to learn rayed iridology, that's another type of iridology where you can learn about, more of the emotional iridology. So that's the jewel and the shaker and, the stream and those that you're showing. And, you were talking about those and you were talking about the petals, and I was analyzing the eyes. I was looking at them going, oh, okay. So, here's the polyglandular and, here's anxiety tetanic, I was looking at them and so that was great that you shared that. So I appreciate you teaching us and, sharing your knowledge with us and spending all this time with us. And thank you everybody for being here. I know this is a Friday night. It's a Friday night and everybody has, things to do. And we very much appreciate you spending your valuable time with us and sharing your time with us. So any questions, any last comments, anything that you want to share?
I just want to say thank you so much. It was awesome. It was wonderful. I've worked with you, Brenda. I look forward to continuing working with you. In June, everything you talked about was just, I've been looking at getting into essential oils and I don't know very much about them and I don't want to buy some cheap stuff that's not going to do anything. So I look forward to working with you as well. I thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you both. Yeah.
It's nice to actually see you.
It's nice to see you too, Brenda.
Yeah, nice to see you. Anybody else? Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, then we'll go ahead and end our meeting and we'll say goodnight.
Thank you both.
So I need to hang on, right, Brenda?
Yes, if you would hang on. Okay, everybody, have a good night.
All right. Good night, guys. Have a
Good
nice
night,
day.
everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.